1, 2, 3 things I will never do again to lose weight. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Stasia and I've recently lost 40 pounds on a plant-based diet. Still kind of trips me out considering I was struggling for many years to get the weight off. So it wasn't just until recently that I started to make some major changes and then the weight started to shift. So if you're curious about, exactly what I did to get the weight off, then I will have some more videos linked in my description box below. If you want to check those out, then it'll explain exactly what I did. But today's video, I'm going to be talking about 3 things that I promise never to do again to lose weight, and only if I could tell my old self before to stop doing these things, I would do so. So instead, I'm going to share it with all of you in hopes that I can prevent some of you from making the same mistakes. Now, aside from making some food changes, which that was that I eliminated my overt fats, which are nuts, seeds, avocados, and of course any oil in my cooking, and that seemed to do the trick to put me into a calorie deficit to be in fat burning mode to finally get the weight to start moving. But aside from just food choices, there's other things that I also had to stop doing to get the weight to start moving. And those things are what today's video is going to be about. 3 things that I swear I would never do again to lose weight. But before we jump into today's video, in case it's your first time landing on one of my videos, right now I'm running an awesome holiday special on all of my weight loss recipe ebooks, including my new book, which is basically like the blueprint to how I lost the 40 pounds. All the recipes in this book have absolutely no overt fats included. Again, that's things such as nuts, seeds, avocados, or oil, as well as no pastas or no breads in any of the recipes. And that is essentially how I've gotten this weight off, as well as 2 of my other books that also include delicious oil-free, whole food plant-based recipes. Well, all of my weight loss recipe ebooks are on sale for only $5. And I also have a holiday bundle where you get all 3 of my books for only $10. So these are super, super steep discounts. I can promise you they will never be cheaper than these prices. So if you are in need of some more oil-free, whole food plant-based recipes, and you're really serious about getting your weight off, especially with the new year around the corner, then I would suggest that now is the time to take advantage of this really awesome book sale, as it is a limited time and they won't be this cheap forever. If you're interested in checking out these books, then I will have a link to all my books in my description box below. All right, so the first thing that I would never do again, which I did actually end up making a whole video kind of around the basis of this individual point, and that is to follow a set of rules or someone else's rules or a book of rules telling me exactly what I should be eating. And now let me clarify this to be a little bit more specific. What I mean is that I would never specifically follow someone else's rules to the T, especially when it's kind of going against how I'm feeling or what I feel is truly good for me. Instead, what I found that worked is to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more in tune with my own body, with what feels good, what feels right, and instead just kind of take bits and pieces of all of the wonderful information out there. I mean, let's be honest, it can get really confusing with all the mixed information. One person's saying go left, the next person's saying no, go right. It's very confusing to the general population, and I'm in there. So I find that by just kind of pulling, a little bit from here, a little bit from there, we have so many wonderful plant-based doctors that have really done their research, really helped so many people. They have proven results. There's so many different ways to achieve health and weight loss. Not just one, even though everyone claims that theirs is the one and only way. I really don't believe that anymore, and I would never allow myself to get caught up in that hype the same way that I used to. I am part of a lot of health groups on social media, and I can't believe how many people I see forcing themselves to eat a certain way, even though in the same sentence are saying that they're feeling sick from eating this food, just because it worked for, their best friend or their mom or the person above them in the comment section. And they're forcing themselves to eat a certain way that does not feel good to their body. And I'm going to give you a quick example. Many years ago, I was sick and I did heal myself on a plant-based diet. I have a video that I made a long time ago, a year or 2 ago, explaining that whole experience. So I know the power of food, but I'm going to share a little piece from that and give you a little bit of a backstory about where I'm coming from with this thinking, because I had a very personal experience with this. So while I was trying to heal myself, I was consuming salads, I was consuming huge green smoothies. At that time, I was really following Dr. Goldner's protocol and really thinking that the green smoothies are going to help me. And all the while they were making me sick. because I had a severely compromised stomach. Severely, like I was so sick. I had lots of other symptoms going on with me, and I was chronically nauseous. I couldn't tolerate any type of food. I wasn't digesting food. It was a very horrible and trying time in my life health-wise. And all the while, all these healthy foods I was eating, they were the ones that were making me the sickest. And I felt crazy in my brain because I remember thinking, like, how can this be? These are really healthy foods. These are supposed to be making me feel good. But at that time and place in my life, they were the worst things that I could be eating because I couldn't tolerate them. Now, if you'd like to find out exactly what I did to end up healing myself, then be sure to check that video out because I've got all the information in there. But once again, I had to figure out what worked for my body. And let me tell you, I figured it out. And when I got to a place of healing and health again, now I'm able to consume huge salads, huge green smoothies, and get all that good stuff in. But at that time, it wasn't good for me. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. So I have other people sometimes comment on some of my videos when it comes to fiber protein shakes, because yes, these shakes have been a huge part of my weight loss journey. They've really helped me to get this 40 pounds off. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if maybe it's your first time landing on one of my videos, these are my fiber protein shakes. They can be found in my brand new weight loss recipe ebook. They've been incredible in helping me get this weight off because A, they taste delicious. I've got flavors like Snickers, Reese's Pieces Buttercup, vanilla birthday cake. I love the way they taste, but they also keep me full because of the fiber and the protein from the beans that are included in these shakes. So that has been tremendous in my weight loss and has worked out so well having one of these every single day. Now, I have some of you wanting to do the same thing and some of you commenting about not being able to tolerate beans. And here's the thing, is that I used to just get bloated when I would look at a bean. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Beans would be like the death of me. They were so bad because they were just too fibrous for my compromised gut at the time. I had to heal my gut before I could start to tolerate foods again. And so most people who have a problem tolerating beans have gut issues that they need to resolve before they can ever be in a place where they can really tolerate beans. Now I can eat beans like crazy and I don't even get gas, let alone gas or anything else. I have no digestive distress whatsoever with the beans. But for someone who does, that means that you might not be able to tolerate beans like I can. So don't push yourself to have this food that's only going to hurt you instead of help you, because then you're defeating the whole purpose in the first place. Now, as a side note with the beans, if you are struggling with beans, I always suggest to just go slowly. And that can even mean as little as 1 tablespoon, and then just build a tolerance up to those beans little by little by little. And eventually you might reach a point where your gut's like, okay, I know what this is. I know what to do with this. And you can tolerate them more and more. But if beans or anything else is something that you're struggling with, and it doesn't feel good to your body at this time and place in your life, don't force yourself to eat it just because somebody else is. I also used to believe that green smoothies were a no-go because I used to listen to some doctors that would say that smoothies didn't support weight loss and that maybe they were just too taxing on your system and all these other things. When insert Dr. Goldner's protocol, she's been healing thousands of people around the world by using green smoothies. So you have to realize that there's always new information coming out. There's always new results coming out. So if one thing is not working for you, trust me when I say that there is another way and you just need to find it. For another example, when I was strictly following the starch solution, I was eating a lot more starch than I was raw foods. And that always kind of left me feeling heavy and a little bit tired. I just didn't feel my best when I was consuming a lot of starch. Now, I still do eat a lot of starch because those are the foods that keep me full. But in terms of feeling my best and feeling energetic and feeling alive, I always feel the best when I'm eating, a lot more high raw in my diet. So when I'm getting those green smoothies and when I'm having those massive salads alongside my starch, that is truly when I'm feeling the best. But when I started following the starch solution initially, I stopped having those green smoothies and I started to focus on starch being, the center of my plate and the end all and be all. It was starch, starch, starch. And that did not feel good to me, but I continued to press on by doing that until it got to a point that in general, it just wasn't working. But looking back now, I would never do that again. I would never stay following something that did not feel good to my body. When we're losing weight and when we're trying to get healthy, it's supposed to be a lifestyle change. So it's not supposed to be something that, you're forcing down your throat if you're not enjoying your foods, or if you're just following some type of lifestyle that is not compatible with you. You're doing a workout, for example, that you just don't enjoy. this is not going to be sustainable long term. What we're looking for is a way that feels comfortable to us, a way that feels good to us, both mentally and physically. So if you're following something that just doesn't feel right to you, then I would highly suggest taking a step back and asking yourself, what would feel good to me, and giving that a try. I think I've been saying this since the beginning of my channel, and I really believe it now more than ever after finally getting 40 pounds off, is that health and weight loss is not a one size fits all. What worked for your best friend, what worked for your mother or your sister or your brother may not work for you. Each of our bodies have different needs to be met. We have different health issues that we're dealing with. We have lots of different things going on. So it will never be a one size fits all type of situation. So please don't limit yourself in this thinking, and understand that there are more than one ways to get to a place of health and weight loss, in a way that feels good to you. Okay, so the second thing that I would never do again is just give up once I messed up. This one is a huge one because I was the queen, I tell you, of messing up and then throwing the towel in and thinking that all of my efforts that I just did were in the garbage. And that in itself, that thinking and that act in itself is the very thing that was holding me back, not the actual slip up. That's the irony in that situation. So what I can tell you is that from losing 40 pounds, I have not been perfect every single day. I actually put out a video back in October during Halloween that I slept up for an entire week. I was eating too much Halloween candy. I made a video about it. I told you guys about it, so you can check that out if you want to. But the point is that I have not been perfect. But guess what? I'm still 40 pounds down. So that tells you something. It tells you that you don't need to be perfect every single moment, every single meal, or every single day. I mean, we strive to, we want to be, but if we're being real, that's not always the case. So please don't just throw your efforts in the garbage can the moment that you deem yourself slipping up and think to yourself, oh, I messed it all up, so I'm gonna have to start again maybe next week or next month. That type of thinking. What I have now learned from losing the 40 pounds is that it's the consistency of those little things that we do every single day that produce the big results. It's not the huge 2-hour workout you did on Monday, but then ate like garbage all week long, for the rest of the week. Who cares about that workout on Monday? It would absolutely mean nothing if you didn't follow it up with a bunch of other baby steps along the way, right? So we got to stop thinking in this all or nothing way, because that's hurting us. It's not helping our weight loss goals. So if you slip up, you know what? Just get back up afterwards and say, by the next meal, not next Monday, by the next meal, I'm going to do something better, because it's really just about those overall calories at the end of the day. So even if you slipped up in one meal, but you do better by your next meal, there's a possibility that you're still going to be in a calorie deficit for that specific day. And that slip up really didn't affect anything in terms of weight loss. If only I had understood that before, I feel like I would have been in this position a lot sooner. It's really frustrating to me to think of how many times I just, threw in the towel thinking that I had ruined everything, that the weight was just going to come back overnight, or whatever my crazy thoughts were. I don't know, but they were there, and they definitely were the roadblock to my success. And so once I let that go and realized that, today wasn't the greatest day, probably shouldn't have eaten that, but guess what? Tomorrow I'm going to kill it. Tomorrow I'm going to be really, really clean with my eating. The next day too, and the next day after that, until I'm not again. But it's that level of thinking that will get you to the place that you want to be. All right, and so the last thing I would never do again is to dismiss the importance of calories. Now, let me be clear on this. I'm not talking about tracking calories, but just being aware that calories do matter. I'm gonna be putting out a video very soon where I dive a little bit deeper into this. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking me, like, did I track my calories? And how many calories was I eating? What was my target goal for calories? So there's a lot of discussion over this calorie stuff, so I will be putting out a video answering all of those questions. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, then hit the subscribe button, because you're not gonna wanna miss that one. But right here, I'm just gonna touch on the fact that you do want to make sure that you have a respect and an awareness for calories, because they do matter if you're trying to lose weight. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of confusion in the plant-based community, and I think that there's a lot of people convinced that as long as you're eating plant-based, that calories really don't matter. You can eat as much as you want, as long as you're eating clean, as long as there's no oil, that you can just eat as much as you want and you're gonna lose weight. That is what I used to believe. I was one of those people, and it really held me back with this thinking. I have recently found out that calories do in fact matter, whether you track them or you don't track them. But if you're eating so much food that's keeping you in a calorie surplus or keeping you, at the same level pretty much every day, then you're just gonna stay plateaued, or even worse, you're going to gain weight. And that does include eating healthy foods. So like I've stressed before in my channel, eating healthy is not synonymous with losing weight. We want it to be, but it's not an automatic pass. So even when you're eating healthy foods, you can still be eating too many healthy foods than what you're actually burning, and therefore you're not gonna lose weight if that's the case. So just understanding that calories do matter, it's not something that we can just ignore or dismiss or act like they don't exist just because we're eating plant-based. They most certainly do, and you most certainly need to be in a calorie deficit to get that weight to shift. So again, I'm going to be releasing a video diving a bit more deeper into that. I'm also going to be going into detail about exactly what I did to make sure that I was in a calorie deficit. I have a few hacks to reduce that overall calorie density in meals that I've been doing to get this weight off. So that one's going to be a good one. You won't want to miss it. All right, so I'm going to leave the video here. Those are 3 things that I promise I will never do again if I'm ever in a position that I'm needing to lose weight. And I really hope that these are 3 things that you will also take into consideration on your weight loss journey. And again, if you're interested in finding out exactly what I did to get this 40 pounds off, I will have a bunch of videos posted in my description box below if you'd like to check those out, as well as if you want to know exactly what I've been eating, you will find that in my brand new weight loss recipe ebook. That's the one that includes all the recipes that I've been eating to get this 40 pounds off, and those are the recipes that I'm still eating. If you want to check out that $5 book sale, don't forget that the link is in the description box below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and a big thumbs up if you found any value in today's video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We will see you guys in the next one.